It's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder, bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. We got a discussion to have.
Can't even introduce me as Techy Joe. I'm just the discussion you have to have. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Shannon.
No, of course with me tonight is Techy Joe.
At least you didn't introduce me as the accused.
Darling, I'm not trying you in court at the moment.
At the moment. Did you hear what he said? At the moment.
But this is such a great example of Mercury in retrograde going on.
It's only like 3 to 5 counts of attempted murder, depending upon how you want to lump them together.
Well, we'll see. We'll debate that. You know, do we count it by trash can or by bag?
Okay, then it gets to like 10 or 15. Okay, fair enough.
Okay. So, as my normal listeners know, no, I might need the witness protection program, Brenda.
I will gladly sign up for the witness protection program for me. Thanks. Sounds like a glorious vacation from life.
No. Shit. Life is the question here.
I take zero responsibility for your asthma reactions to my humor.
Uh-huh. You need to take 100% of responsibility.
Man, now we're up to hundreds of counts.
Uh-huh. Anyhow.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, Kathy. Yes, we're getting to the point, in case y'all are wondering. We'll get there.
Yes. So I've been having asthma and coughing and thinking, oh, it's seasonal allergies. Great. I need to call Doc and bitch at it.
No, actually, it's the Amazfit BIP. I've had it for a couple of years now.
Yep. And talk to him because apparently my Flonase isn't working anymore. So our cleaning crew was here last week, and I'm sitting in the dining room, and of course, instantly I go into an asthma attack because I smell bleach. And my cleaning crew knows not to use bleach.
Because of a previous incident already where I screwed up. See, what had happened was, and this has happened twice now, in my defense, both times I've had to go do an emergency, spur of the moment, quick as I can shopping trip. And both times I just grabbed out of reflex, out of I wasn't blind shopping is what we're talking about. That I have 15 minutes to get my ass out of this grocery store and back to the house grocery shopping, or more importantly, cleaning supply related shopping. Continue.
So, I evacuate the house. I go outside. I smoke a few cigarettes. My lungs open up. I tell them, don't use that again.
and I fixed it.
And he fixed it. And that was all lovely and good. Okay, honey. Be a little bit more careful, please.
Yeah, because I inadvertently bought bleach-based toilet bowl cleaner and bleach-based tub cleaner.
Yeah.
It's what I used to use when I think I've got to rush through a store and grab my cleaning supplies.
So, today has been a stressful day. One, I got my booster shot. And it's been a busy schedule day. And my allergies have been killing me. And I'm like, this is freaking Friday. Cleaning crew was here on Wednesday. I know that we replaced the products, so they're not using the products. Why am I having such dang trouble? So I got to fix my coffee. And of course, in our kitchen, where the cleaning supplies are stored, the coffee pot's right there on the other side. I look down and I see the word Clorox. Do you want to tell our listening audience what you've done?
Okay, in my defense, the products look identical enough, and I was in a hurry. The Force Flex trash bags and the Clorox branded trash bags that I didn't even know were a thing till a few minutes ago look the same. It's a yellow box with a diamond pattern bag on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was picking up Force Flex.
Right.
Or you know what, they may not be the Force Flex ones, but you know the ones I'm talking about with the little diamond pattern so that they don't like shred apart.
Right. They make
Febreze
scented. They make Clorox infused ones.
Apparently.
I didn't know Clorox made trash bags.
I did not know. So yes, earlier, right before the show, he starts asking me, did you take a life insurance policy out on me I don't know about? And I said, no. And by the way, if you're going to sit here and, you know, make this an accusation of attempted murder, you better go lay behind my car. Just go lay behind the car because we're going to make it a full-on murder. Like, if I'm going down and I'm going to spend time in prison, you better get behind my car. I'm going to run you over. I'm going to run you over a good few times.
Uh-huh.
Like, it is not the day. No, no one died.
Yet.
I know what she said was, I don't think anyone did know that there were Clorox trash bags. But no, I did not. I was unaware. If you had asked me to name trash bag companies.
Yeah.
I could name off a few. There is Hefty. There is Glad. There is, you know, that silly, stupid Members Mark brand. There's I can sit here and go for a couple of, you know, at least a minute. Clorox would have never come out of my name.
Right.
Or come out of my mouth. Oh, poor Sandy's dad was allergic to flowers. Unbeknownst to us, a friend had given us a poinsettia, which landed him in the hospital. He got straightened up, and then another friend sent flowers, and he went into another attack. Fortunately, if he didn't get those, he would have gone home and got sick again.
But
so if you would like to send an arrangement of Clorox wipes to Aeson, we'll be giving out our address for that.
You better watch. I've got haters out there. They'll probably take you up on that.
In the break room?
Well, possibly. But anyhow. And they don't bother me if they're the scented ones. It is the old-fashioned bleach. But Clorox is a brand that has freaking expanded itself all over fucking Texas and back. Like, they ran out of bleach, so they started making other shit. But this is an example of what I go through when I go buy
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, pause, because he's giving me a lot of grief. Now, granted, jokingly, and I know this, but can I point out I am allergic to aloe and aloe derivatives. So can we just go back a couple of years and you made me a what kind of shake twice?
Ashley, that'll be coming up. I have to go find it on the hard drive. I made you a Slim Fast shake twice.
Uh-huh.
And
What
then
is a
after
Slim
that, I
Fast?
read all the labels on not only my makeup, but the skin products we buy. We even order special skin products for us so that you don't get aloe in them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. We read our makeup brands, we read our complex food packages, we even determine the restaurants we're eating at, depending on what grease products they use.
Yes, because tocopherol, which is technically a vitamin E derived product, or basically the chemical lovely name of vitamin E, some of it is derived from flippin' aloe,
Yes.
and it sets me off.
Yes.
So let me tell you, that Slim Fast shake, yeah, whoo, I could have ended up real skinny real fast because the tocopherol acts as a shelf stabilizer. Unfortunately, on me, it acts like a um how can I describe this?
A laxative.
Um oh honey, laxative is a lovely word for it. However, this would be more like colon surgical prep. That's what it acts like. You know, the stuff called Go Lightly, the Peg 40 or whatever it is, and the big giant jug, which,
Yeah, it's easy to pick up at, Walmart, dollar store. Go Lightly's all over the place.
oh yeah, that knocks out a lot of skincare products.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Oh, poor Brenda. Brenda's cousin allergic to corn. Yes, corn and corn syrup is in everything. Shannon was going to say anal purge.
Hmm.
Again, I think that's a nice way of putting it and almost sounds like it could be slightly more delicate than my experience.
Hmm.
Have you ever thought that your tongue was going to fall out of the other end of you because of the sheer force
Hmm.
with which it feels like organs, really, are
Hmm.
being ripped out of your body? That's my experience.
Yeah. But
And
no,
I
these
get
are
that with
things.
size.
Um, but no, these are things you need to be paying attention to. These are things Mercury in retrograde will cause.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, along with a little date confusion.
You can go into that one because that one's actually interesting.
No, we're not going into that one. We're not adding to the list of charges on air.
Go for it.
Screw it, might as well.
Yes.
So, Joe also, and again, in my defense, we based everything off of my card, and the nurse who filled out my card, and the way they wrote the date on my card for my COVID vaccination. So we went today to get our third because I looked at my card and I, honest to God, thought it said 4/2/2021. Okay. 6 months. Okay. We're off by a day, but can this really matter? I found out, yes, it can. Yes, it can, because I got rejected. That no, today is 10/1. You cannot get your third shot until 10/2 or later. Please see us at the county health department on Monday morning. Thank you. Have a nice day. I turn around expecting to see one of two things. Either he has been told the exact same thing and is either A, gotten up and been like, okay, I'll wait for him to get told the same thing I did, and we'll go home now and go over to the health department on Monday morning. Or B, him having a long conversation with a nurse about you cannot be serious right now. It's one day. One of two things I expect to see. Not him setting a timer and going to sit down because he just got his. Okay, so I'm confused and annoyed and whatever. I'm not mad. I'm like, whatever. Okay, I got the nurse who dots her I's, crosses her T's. This is my life. This is what happens. I am used to this. He got the nurse that went, probably didn't even read it, didn't care, figured you want to take your chances on death, hope you got all your bills paid. And then we got to talking about it. And he goes, the funny thing is, I swear to God, mine said 421. The booster is one shot. And I said, really? I said, that's weird. So we checked the cards. And then we thought about it for a minute. We did not get our shots on 4-2.
No.
We got our shots on 421. Mercury retrograde. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're going with. I swear to God, I thought it said 4-2, and it wasn't until we talked about it. Then I'm like, wait a minute. That didn't make any sense. We couldn't have. So now I'm in this catch-22 because before she caught it on mine, she already applied the sticker.
Yep. So you still have to go over there.
I still have to go over there, and then we have to figure out what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know. Do I lie at this point and just be like, nope, it's 4-2, knowing it's wrong, or do I go ahead and go, oh, we are so screwed right now, help?
Yes, I think you should do that.
I think option 2. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm just, like, I just need a life with less weird problems. Like problems I know I'm going to have. Like, I understand problems exist. We all have problems in life. I'm just sick of the weirdo, off the wall, this is nuts problems. Like, and part of me just wants to get mad and be like, why didn't we do a fucking barcode-based national goddamn database to fucking start with? So someone could have scanned my little barcode and been like, hi, you country bumpkin. You screwed up. You screwed up real bad. Come back in a month. Try not to forget to breathe on the way home. Like, that's what I need in my life right now, is a barcode-based system in which someone could tell me I'm stupid.
Well, dear, you aren't stupid. You are in a Mercury in retrograde. We have began the War of the Black Rose, which is, also called a power shift in the household.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Because things come off Aeson's plate that he normally takes care of, and Joe now takes care of it.
Uh-huh. You want to talk about the rest of that one?
We can.
Yeah, so I've moved into taking care of our finances. And we had a situation present itself, and without getting into too much detail, short version is, it started out thinking, I was like, okay, where are our finances and can we make a major purchase right now? Well, there's a vehicle. But it turned out it was a little more involved than we thought. We ended up passing on it, but I'm sitting here just like trying to work and get stuff done. It's been a long week. I've been on the road a lot. There's some stuff I need my home computer to be able to do. I can't do them on the road. And I had sat down to start on those and knock that out because today's already gone sideways enough. And like, let me just get this stuff done before the show and life will be good. And then this conversation pops up and I have to stop and like do a crash course on what's due when, what money's coming in when, because the lovely joys of when your spouse gets paid daily. It's not like I can be like, okay, what's our bank balance because you just got paid this Friday or last Friday and you're going to get paid next Friday or the Friday after, and just be like, yes or no. No, I have to sit here and figure out we have this many outstanding deposits and we have these many bills due before, we have more deposits. And so I go through all of that to figure out, okay, we can potentially do this next weekend. It's going to be tight, but we could do it based on the numbers I thought we needed. And then we found out those numbers were way wrong. But yeah, it just, and I told, like, we stopped both at about probably the same moment this evening, about 20 minutes before the show. And I'm sitting here reading the last article that we were going to discuss tonight. And I realize he's standing behind me. And I just turn around and it's like, can I have a nervous breakdown? He's like, you got like 10 minutes to do it. And then I have to have you composed and on air. And I was like, not enough time. Like, I'm reserving my nervous breakdown for after the show.
Right.
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I just mentally, I feel like my brain needs a massive unplug, plug it back in, reboot. Like, don't even bother trying to properly shut it down. It ain't happening. Just jerk the plug out. Wait 5 minutes. Plug it back in, and let's see if Joe can boot back up. If not,
No, Joe is learning this. I've been swimming this for 15 years. I can calculate to the minute how many minutes I need to talk to do anything.
Oh, I gotta read this one. Sandy, you've got the stick backwards for non-Mercury in retrograde. So Joe is the stressor and Aeson is the laid-back person. Oh no! I'm typically go with the flow, like whatever, I'll make it work. It's okay. It was a great plan. The plan's dead. Let's create a new plan. Let's, we'll go on. No. I don't know. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah. Aeson is the anal retentive one that has everything written down, so he doesn't have to think about it. He can do it. Here's where we are.
Yeah, but you're also the one though, like you plan. You really do. You plan, like get really good. You have a plan. But now when the wrench hits, you're the one that is like, I'm just going to go to a mountaintop and scream for a few hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Like when the plan breaks, I'm just like, and for me, it's like, have you ever done dementia care? Like I did this with my grandmother and I'm not talking about like nursing home dementia care. You get some leeway there.
No, you don't. You just have multiples of them.
No. In-home dementia care, when you're the only person there and like, you're having to try to work cooperatively because they don't give you needles and high-powered drugs or encourage you to strap people to anything to get them where they need to be. It's called, because that's called elder abuse in that situation. You get used to the idea that I had a whole plan for today, and today starts at 8 a.m. And at 8:05, the whole plan for the day just went kaboom. And now we have to reorganize, change everything, do everything differently. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
I'm used to that. I will roll with that. Like 8:05 a.m., my whole day plan blows up. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, what are we doing now? All right, let me juggle this around. But not today, not today. That's not where I'm at today. Today I want to go to the mountaintop, scream for a few hours, consider jumping, and then figure it out from there.
Right.
Like, hi. So, yay.
Yay.
So that's our insanity. How's everyone else doing?
It's been interesting. I'm just rocking along here and like,
Yeah.
okay, let him handle it. Let him handle it.
Well,
Now I need to call Rebecca.
Oh dear.
To confirm you don't have a life insurance policy out on me.
You really think if I were going to plan to murder you, I would use our normal insurance agent?
Yes, because you want the discount. Like, honey, I know you're cheap.
Yeah, but I'm cheap enough to call. Okay, in this fantasy world in which I have taken out, and key emphasis on the words fantasy world, in which I have taken out a life insurance policy on you that you don't know about. I have an ex that does insurance, and I can bat my pretty little eyes and make this happen at a really low rate.
Uh-huh. You don't trust him.
Well, I mean, for a cut of it, I mean, we'd have to do a good couple million. But
again, you don't trust him. And furthermore, you haven't talked to him in 2 years.
Again, in this fantasy world in which I'm committing your murder,
uh-huh,
I think I would contact him. Work with people you know.
Furthermore, he's bad at lying.
Well, he's not great at lying, but at least I know where his bodies are buried, and I can threaten to pull some of them out of the ground.
Uh-huh. I haven't taught you the Lazarus curse yet, but okay, we'll work on that one. Yeah. But you got to be loving this Mercury in retrograde. We also have Saturn coming out of retrograde, and Jupiter coming out of retrograde, and Pluto has just been pissy for a while, and he's coming out of retrograde this month. So this will be a fun October. Mm-hmm. And yes, we will share shit like this as it goes along, so you can see real life examples of it. So, do we want to take on the big stories, or do we want to talk about the smaller stories?
I don't know. Do you think we can top our own lives tonight?
Yeah. Britney Spears' father has been suspended.
Yes. You were telling me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So that's like step one, though.
Yes, that is step one. The reason that they did not want the whole thing released was then they would not get the legal documents from the estate. Now that there's a different conservator, they can get all those documents have to be turned over to him. All those email communications have to be turned over to him. And Britney's court can start finally going through this crap.
Yeah, so if you did a comparison, it's like here were the two options. One, we could set you free from this immediately, but it's not going to be like you think it is. You'll be free, but it may potentially end up being that you have no ability to recover any misappropriated funds.
Right.
You'll never get a complete accounting. This is all going to be immediately dissolved. Good luck with the money you have.
Yeah.
Or we can move you over to like a pre-release kind of situation in which, yes, you're still under the conservatorship, but hopefully, one, the conservator is going to actually be acting in your best interest, while also acting to make sure that all your interests were protected prior to now.
Right.
Because now they have full access to everything. So it should, one, be a better situation for you, and two, it may actually benefit you long term
Right.
to make sure that you leave with all the assets you should have.
Right. Plus, this will also enable her. He and her can sit down together and begin hiring key roles that Jamie Spears has not hired,
Mm-hmm.
as in a business manager, as in a marketing manager, as in, he's an accountant, so that's going to incur too.
Yeah.
So this gives and apparently in 45 days they're going back to court with possible criminal charges against Jamie Spears. Why the prosecutor is not moving on these charges, I do not know right now. It may be a lack of evidence, but she will already have a team in place by then.
Yes. So, yeah. I think, as bad as it, like, on one hand, it sounds bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that if you're fighting to get out of this,
Mm-hmm.
being told, can you hang in there a little longer?
Right.
But we're changing the person, like, we're changing wardens.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving from the Wicked Witch of the West to Glinda the Good Witch.
Mm-hmm.
As a comparison, can you hang in there a little longer? I know it's not what you want,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really what you need. I know that's got to be hard. I would be taking that a little hard. I think I would struggle there, because I know, for me, if I were facing this, I think the biggest thing in my head would be, I just want out. I want out. Like, I just know, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's a prison, and I want out.
Right, but here's the problem with that. Getting her out leaves her in a very big pinch.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just me. Well, this isn't you or me.
Right,
this is someone financially with a lot of balls in the air. Like, I already have balls in the air, but she has a lot more. She has at least 60 million balls, 33 LLCs in her control that she owns. That's 33 different companies that she has to manage and micromanage. And that can be a shock to somebody. Just like Joe's going through the shock of understanding how this household runs with all the balls in the air.
Well, and I think your comparison is apt, and it's more so like trying to slam into it and figure out our finances for the next 2 weeks in like 10 minutes.
Right.
That was the hardest part. It's not like I can't get this, or I can't do this, or I'm not used to this, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's literally I sat down to do one thing, and then all of a sudden in 10 minutes, I needed to quickly pop through the numbers and just go, okay, what's due when, how much is coming in, what's going to be available when,
mm-hmm.
and just like instantaneously, and like we started the switch over like earlier this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just kind of like, hi, hold please. I got to wrap my mind around this real quick.
Right.
And so, fire up the Excel and let Joe quickly do some calculations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if all this goes in and all of this comes out,
right,
where are we?
But she also hasn't ever been able to manage her whole career before.
Mm-hmm.
As a minor, her parents managed, Lefty managed it with her parents in collusion.
Well, to some degree, she's been stuck at 17 years old.
Right.
Until she finally gets out of this.
Right.
Like, in that she has never really had, or has never had, responsibility or authority
mm-hmm.
over her own financial well-being, or even to some degree, her own health care.
Right.
Like, and you got to stop and think, one, that's enough of a challenge when you're like you turn 18 and all of a sudden, and now it's a little more like 26, but it's a little more graduated now. You don't get both on the same day. Like, surprise, you're 18, you're kicked off your parents' insurance, and oh, by the way, you're a legal adult now. Try not to screw that up with a credit card or, $60 million.
Right. Well, what I'm finding most aggravating and most challenging is you have a woman worth $60 million, but yet she could not be allowed to have Skechers.
Pardon?
Brittany wanted a pair of Skechers. Her father wouldn't let her buy a pair of Skechers. Not $200 Skechers. The wardrobe budgeter that got her the Skechers spent $34 on them.
I mean, but then again, I can also sit there and say maybe there's a brand deal that like she's supposed to only be wearing, say, Nike, or only supposed to be wearing Adidas, or like, and but that's sometimes the more nuanced of like celebrity lives.
Right.
Is you cannot, if you're in all these little brand deals,
Right.
they may have exclusivities.
Right.
That, you know, that would literally control what you wear.
Mm-hmm.
And that, well, you know, you can buy those and wear them around the house,
right.
But you need to be real certain you don't get spotted in public wearing those, because that'll screw up a brand deal.
Right, but that wasn't the answer. The answer was no, you can't afford them.
What?
No, you can't afford them.
I mean, I know we had to juggle some finances regarding a major purchase, but honey, if you want a pair of Skechers, you can go buy a pair of $30-some Skechers.
No, like, you know, the shoes I prefer to buy, and they're never $30.
I know. But you get what I'm saying,
right? And literally, they were on tour. She wanted sushi. She wanted sushi for dinner. She was told she couldn't afford sushi. Yeah. Like, this is bullshit he has been doing to her.
Well, and I think the bigger takeaway is that's controlling behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can get it if she's asking to buy like a Skechers factory.
Mm-hmm.
No, you cannot randomly decide to buy a Skechers factory.
Right.
You cannot, you know, or launch your own line of Skechers. Like, that's a debatable thing.
Right.
A pair of shoes and sushi is not going to break her.
Right.
Ever.
And I don't know, when we're on tour, I eat what I want.
Mm-hmm.
We eat where I want.
Yeah.
Like, the main goal is to keep the talent happy. And normally that's coffee a bear and then feed a bear.
Yep. And accept the fact that we're eating, and when it becomes time to feed the bear, we are most likely eating in an omelet shop or an omelet spot or a Waffle House or an IHOP, or just go into it knowing this is what you're going to want after.
That or Chinese.
Or Chinese, yeah.
If it's been a long day, find me a Chinese buffet. I want to, and I will clear it. Because after I've done like 400 readings in a day, they're hungry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not 400.
Okay, I think that the one event in Marietta, I cleared like 236.
You might have, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Well, or over 100.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, once you get over like 10 readings in a day, it's kind of a moot point.
Right.
Like, it's an extreme day. Mm-hmm. It is a network level day of in-person contact.
Right.
Like, that's like the double there.
Mm-hmm.
Is not only is it like a night on the network, but it's like a night on the network,
mm-hmm.
but face to face.
Right. But
you know, that's a lot.
Believe me, I'm not even in the same zip code as Britney Spears and the work she puts into her shows and the stuff she does. But to deny getting her sushi, which, you know, that's one of our lunch things. That's what, like a $7.50 deal when I send you for sushi.
Yeah. Well, and more importantly, the justification for it.
Right.
Again, I could kind of see saying don't do sushi, because there are a lot of managers who will highly advise against certain food choices before a performance.
Right.
Like to avoid food poisoning so you don't get sick. because it's just notorious that, entire show lineups
Mm-hmm.
have ended up canceled because of food poisoning.
Right.
Someone stopped at a Chinese buffet, or someone stopped for sushi and it was improperly prepared. And now suddenly a performer is out for days.
Right.
Through the entire lineup to hell.
Right.
Refunds, like millions of dollars worth of refunds, and lost, revenue, and lost deposits, and lost, blah, blah, blah. All happens because bad sushi.
Right. But again, this
But
is
that's
after
nothing.
the show.
Mm-hmm.
This
Oh,
is,
yeah.
her next show isn't for like a week.
Yeah.
And she can't have sushi.
Yeah. Well, moreover, the justification, you can't afford it. No, you can afford it. You should be able to afford it. No one should be rejecting it on affordability.
Right.
Like, where was the sushi?
Right.
Like, was this $1 million sushi?
No, this was
Like,
Yummy Japan sushi.
that's what I'm saying. Like, unless we're talking about, like, the bill for sushi was going to be $1 million.
Right. But you also
Okay.
bring up a good point, and that's why he makes pokes at me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know where we're eating at, Omelet Shop, Waffle House. And it's because it's standard food. There's no way they can fuck it up.
Well, yeah, and I'm perfectly happy with you can eat wherever you want. It's just, I know almost certainly that's going to be your response. What do you want to eat? Before it even comes out of your mouth, it's kind of like hit it on the GPS. 99.9% of the time, it's going to be where he ends up saying.
Right.
Like, you have surprised me though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the last time we did, or one of the last events we did have done,
Mm-hmm.
you did like go totally random,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wait, what? Like, seriously?
Yeah, take me to Applebee's.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah. But that's another chain that, the food is normally very good at, and I don't have to worry about them not having what I want.
Yeah. Brenda's like, I'm an omelet person if I'm not sure. They can't be messed up too bad.
Exactly. I'm a cheap cheeseburger, hamburger that supposedly it's meat and cheese that works. Get it over with. It's a nice food combination. Doesn't upset my stomach. I can go in and work. It doesn't tire me out. There's very rare chance that a mass processed burger will give you food poison.
Yeah, but meanwhile, on the flip side of that, that's also after the event.
Mm-hmm.
After the event,
Mm-hmm.
keywords. And more importantly, it's not like we're, trying to figure out lunch before the event. And he's like, let's do random supermarket sushi.
Right.
No, we are not doing random supermarket sushi before an event. No,
we do
not
coffee
trying
before an event.
Yeah, like, I'll take my chances after an event.
Yeah.
Not before. Not before.
But, these are things that she is going to have to learn to negotiate and go through because she hasn't been allowed to. So it'll be interesting. I think that as soon as the conservatorship is over, you can expect a album to come out. You can expect a tour to be booked and sold out within minutes. I think that you can expect at least 2 book deals and possibly a movie deal.
I don't know. I'm thinking she might go the other direction and just take like a year to readjust.
I don't think so. I think she's been gnarling at the bit.
Well, I know she has, but I mean, I keep making like this prison comparison, and honestly, it is.
Yeah.
Like, this is welcome to adulthood. Hi, you're like 40 now. Surprise!
Right.
It's your, 18th birthday all over again. Just, this time with responsibility and authority and obligations.
Right.
But some money to cover it.
Right.
We don't know how much. We're a little confused. We're still figuring that out, but,
Right.
Yeah. Like, that's all right. Oh.
Right. But no, there'll be some definite adjustments there.
Yeah.
And
just to take on Mary's comment real quick before we jump into the next one, Brittany's not quite a victor. This is the beginning of the end, that Jamie is now no longer the conservator, but the conservatorship still exists.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to give it to Judge Penny for exactly doing it so that she couldn't be challenged.
Nice.
Yeah, because Vivian Laura was like, I'm going to appeal this. And Judge Penny's like, you can't appeal it. There is no appeal to it. Have fun.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Vivian Thor is an idiot.
I just... Yeah.
Like any of them that are in this, or that was in this for the estate, I don't think they'll have another job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mary definitely... Brittany needs a good forensic accountant from this point forward.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And probably for a decent amount of the future.
Right.
To put all this back together and figure out what all has happened. And again, I don't want to jump in and say that on purely the financials and how the money's invested, what the money's been used for, I don't want to go out on a limb and say that, Jamie totally effed this up and he's going to prison on that alone. But at this point, there's been so much that has obviously gone wrong. There's no way you could ever convince me that you don't need someone to go all the way back to the beginning, pull all this back forward, and make the numbers work.
Right.
To make sure that everything else, that despite everything else going on that was bad, that this side of it, the actual accounting, the pure logistics of the money, happened on the total up and up. Right. Because otherwise, I would eternally be sitting there feeling like there's a problem here.
Right. And there is a problem comparing her net worth income with those of other stars of her quality.
Right. And trying to, how did you spend that much?
Right.
Well, because that's kind of like getting into the Gary Coleman situation, which was the flip opposite. Gary Coleman was sitting there with like a really crappy manager who was taking advantage of him, blah, 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 blah. And then everyone finds out that like Gary Coleman was flipping broke. And it's like, how? How did he end up broke? Like, I know he wasn't the greatest paid child star ever.
Right.
But, like, how do you mismanage what had to be at least a sizable fortune at some point?
Well, and
like,
because of the parents.
A few years.
His parents mismanaged his fortunes.
And that's what eventually, came out of that. But
right.
Fundamentally, it's like mentally when you hear that, you're like, how?
Right. And see, this is why I really think that child actors, child influencers should immediately be put into a profession, like just required. You're required to be these, like 3/4 of your income must go into a trust for you. Yeah.
Well, and to some degree, and I think that's where you got to be careful with wording, because it almost sounds like what one would almost be tempted to say is like, no, if you're a child actor, you need a conservatorship that does not involve your parents, that involves a literal guardian for you of your finances.
Yes.
To ensure that no one with an undue influence and a personal self-interest and an exploitive nature can abuse your talent and your ability and your work,
right,
and leave you like 18 and over with nothing to show for that at all.
Right.
Like, they had a party, you worked your butt off, they had a party, and then you come out of this going, but I made the monies.
Yeah.
Where's my monies?
Yeah.
You know, because at no point do I think that, like, and even a child actor should end up being the sole breadwinner of a family
Right.
to the point in which they are literally paying for everything. Like, sorry, you got the parent-child relationship bass backwards.
Right. And
Like,
that's what's happened with so many stars.
yeah, and it's kind of like, keep your day job, Dad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not your meal ticket.
Right. And we see that now with YouTube stars. We see that so much. Now, there is one star and one Ryan's toy review. His parents are doing it right. Like, they have hired legal, they have hired managers, they have hired accountants. You know, they keep their day job, and Ryan does his thing.
You know, one child actor that comes to mind who's still a current actor, Neil Patrick Harris. Like, could someone sit down and figure out, like, what all happened? Like, how were the finances managed? Who took care of the finances? Because that is someone who is, what, 10, 15 years older than us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking real quick before I, like,
Right.
overage him. But I think he's only like 10 or 15 years older than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's 48.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, he has had a very long career and still has a career. But I don't see him struggling. Like, there's no news articles of Neil Patrick Harris is broke. Neil Patrick Harris has no money. Neil Patrick Harris is trying to keep the lights on. You know, I feel like he is one star that got all the things he needed.
Right.
Maybe not all the right ways, and, you know, there could be some additional lessons to learn there.
Right.
But somehow he made it through all this, and this is one person who does not have, like, a massive drug problem we all know about.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't end up in some psychiatric, you know, long-term care thing. And I know some people are lucky and some aren't in that regard.
Right.
And, you know, like, we all have our struggles, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like this kind of came together for him well-rounded is what I'm shooting for, in which he didn't end up like former, you know, child star turned, you know, TMZ article of the week
Right.
in horror situation.
Right. Mary, they do require that. That was part of Jamie Spears' attempted deal, was to just get it rubber stamped approved to get him out. The 12th, and now they'll be moving into the 13th accounting. But that's the problem. Brittany's lawyer, who hasn't been paid for any of this for the past 2 years, since 2019, not a current one, her former court appointed one, didn't challenge anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. He basically got told, and I'm quite sure it was word to word, mouth to mouth, so it wasn't recorded anywhere. You won't get paid unless you let us do what we want to do.
Well, regardless, that's effectively kind of what happened. Is it was a rubber stamp that didn't really.
Right.
I mean, again, one could take from that everything they were doing was on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's naive.
Yes.
You know, like,
right. And he was not he's used to handling, well, grandma needs nursing care. We're going to put her in this facility. This is going to take this amount out of the estate. And it's a clear bill to pay.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, that is kind of the unfortunate sad part when most people do end up in a conservatorship. Typically, even if there are, you know, a large number of assets, the bills become pretty straightforward.
Right.
It's not a real, like, struggle bus to hop on and try to, like, navigate through.
Right.
That even if you're talking about some, you know, high-flying finance, and some very complicated financial situations, the expenses, you know, are going to typically make a lot of sense.
Right.
And be very justifiable. And if that's been your entire career,
Mm-hmm.
is dealing with what is pretty much a straightforward situation, in which you have a person who is effectively not mentally capable of managing their finances,
Mm-hmm.
and you're only really working with people who have that person's best interests at heart,
Mm-hmm.
and the obligations are legitimate, you know, and the finances are legit.
Mm-hmm.
You get used to, like, yeah, I'm just kind of here to, like, rubber stamp.
Right.
Like, I'm just, the check, you know, I'm the little inspector that goes through and says, yep, quality standards met.
Right. And that's
Um,
what's happened with Sam Ingram. Has been his career. He was not manned for this career. He actually had to hire a litigation team to do the litigation because he's not a litigation attorney.
mhm. Well, but we've also seen this in other areas too. And I'm trying to remember this exact small town that got into one of those situations. But it was a small town that they had a lot of lack of oversight and controls and separation of power and duties
Mm-hmm.
regarding their finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so the person who signed all the checks was the same person who put in all the invoices, who was the same person that managed all the accounts,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn around and the auditor that is supposed to, be the last step to ensure everything's going right in this, is their personal, friend slash their own personal accountant,
Right.
and basically rubber stamped everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just sitting there going, well, why the hell did the city pay for this auditor?
Right.
If all they're going to do is sit there and go, yep, looks good to us. Thank you for the report you sent us of how you spent the city's money
Mm-hmm.
and what you say you spent it on, and,
Mm-hmm.
on down the line. Because that was the horse woman. Oh, I'm trying to remember. She had a great big. She was big in the horse showing world. Um, and then come to find out, all of it was stolen money, like millions from the city that she worked for.
Right.
Anyway,
Anyway, but no, it'll be interesting. We probably will not hear much. Shouldn't hear much back till November on the Brittany case as they move forward with what they're getting. They're trying to get stuff from the New York Times because it's been reported that Jamie bugged Brittany's not only her phone, that is a whole other catch of worms, but also bugged her bedroom.
well, but here's where this might end up.
Mm-hmm.
Would that potentially be a power he has as a conservator
No,
over the person?
no.
Here's what I'm saying though. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we got into discussing recently, like, or I think we did. I know I at least saw the article for it. If we didn't end up discussing it on the show, was the parent who sent their child, their special education, special needs child,
Mm-hmm.
with like a teddy bear with a camera in it, and busted a whole bunch of crap going on that shouldn't have been.
Right. But see, California is a two-party recording state.
Mm-hmm.
So every one of Brittany's calls, text messages, and entering of her house,
Okay,
yeah,
that makes a bigger difference.
yeah,
Yeah, two-party consent is a little bit of a navigational nightmare,
exactly.
because technically it means that all parties,
Right.
even if if there are two, it's kind of easy, but if you start getting into like a conference call,
Mm-hmm.
literally everyone on the call has to consent,
Right.
or you can't record.
Right. But no, that's the thing that is going on here, and that's a bigger problem, is because there's also a restraining order against Jamie Spears with his grandchildren. That included recording them.
Well, West Virginia is technically a one-party consent state.
Right.
And granted, even in that like one-party, two-party consent thing, there's whole other things that go on. It's not always just that simple.
Right.
Like, because you can record video but not audio. That, strangely enough, can end up the video without audio. Can potentially be used even if the voice recording connected to the video recording cannot.
Right.
And then there's exceptions for like not having an expectation of privacy, i.e., you're in a public place in plain view. So there's whole things.
There's a whole thing on it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take Ashley's mother-in-law's question before it gets lost. And then we will hop into discussing someone I haven't discussed on this network in a while. And it's time we cook this apple.
All right, so Ashley's mother-in-law, 9/29/71. Will Mr. Squidward be loyal to me? Is it a good idea for Fletcher and I to get back together? Two separate questions there.
Yeah. And then there's a follow-up one. And then there's a follow-up there.
Oh, is Ralph serious about wanting to marry me, and will he be a good husband or provider?
All right, so looking at Squidward, I think he is loyal, although he's very tight on finances and doesn't look to be that much fun. You and Fletcher, I'll be honest, honey, if you get back together with him, it's going to be the same problem you were before. It's like a full repetition of the same. Exactly. Now, is he serious? Yes. He is serious about wanting to marry you. Will he be a good husband provider? Yes, but he'll be annoying as hell. I'll be honest, I don't like any of these characters. I think you deserve a higher class of man. There's that.
All right. So I think your answer is go fish.
Yes.
Like, preferably in a non-toxic pond.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Alan Jones. Finally, he's starting to get some crap.
Well, Alex Jones,
yes.
More importantly, and yeah, you may recognize the name, though I would be happy if no one did. So he's the idiot. And founder of InfoWars, who claimed that Sandy Hook was a giant government conspiracy thing.
Right.
Created a whole lot of trouble. Right. For the parents involved, by way of their children, and effectively made a mess of their lives.
Right. And continues to spread misinformation about COVID, has been deplatformed from every platform, like Facebook, Twitter, everybody else kicked him out. He's, I think, over on Notepad. For those who are wondering what Notepad is, that is the Trumpian era. They can go play over there in their little sandbox.
Well, and his defense all along has been that he's a satirist, and everyone should know not to take what he says seriously.
Right.
Like, that's great legal defense until you actually, basically create a mob.
Right.
Then you're not a satirist anymore.
Right. So, he has denied Sandy Hook. He's also denied 9/11. This man is horrid. Okay. They finally got him against two, he's lost two more defamation cases. I personally think he should lose a lot more than that.
Well, and the loss in this one kind of goes back and forth between the judge and his attorney. On the judge's side, it's for not turning over evidence. And fundamentally abusing the discovery process. The lawyer claims that what the judge is doing is abuse of judicial power in and of itself.
Right.
The judge is basically has made a default ruling against him, noting that, quote, an escalating series of judicial admonishments, monetary penalties, and non-dispositive sanctions have all been ineffective at deterring the abuse.
Right.
Yep. I think it's a big, giant, lovely, well-articulated, nice-sounding way of saying your lawyer's a fucking moron, and
Well,
you've done my
their
courtroom into a
lawyer,
circus.
yeah, it's not a moron. It's this, let's run them out of money.
Yeah.
That's how any of these people win in court cases, is run them out of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And this judge is tired of it. It's like, no, you had till Tuesday to turn that file over.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of cases that end up that's the strategy, is just outlive them.
Right.
Let it go away through death. Let it go away through financial exhaustion.
Right.
And that's a legitimate thing. Side note, you can literally drag a case on until, you know, the person suing you is just too broke to keep moving.
Right. And, you know, these poor families, they have been through it. All of the Sandy Hook families have been through it. And this is so freaking distasteful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and in other news, and I didn't give you this article, but I'm sure you've seen it. Luckily, YouTube's starting to take action and deplatform these people. They're also taking care of the anti-vaxxers and deplatforming them.
Unfortunately, I don't think fast enough.
Right.
That's my biggest problem. And even like Facebook has also continued to have a problem with effectively running groups that make the spread of misinformation regarding COVID-19, COVID-19 treatment, COVID-19 whatever, made that, you know, has made that misinformation highly accessible.
Right.
And has pretty much drowned out anything science-based.
Right.
Because frankly, more of those groups pop up every day and become echo chambers of each other. The same information. And this is kind of, I hate to turn it into a party thing, but hi, this should all sound familiar, because how many times have you researched a article title? I'll tell you this. An article title on, say, Fox News. Do this sometime. That sounds outlandish and crazy and doesn't make any sense. Take the title, plug it into Google. I will guarantee you will find this same article identically, same title, same content, same everything. On site after 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 site. And I don't just mean multiple people are linking to it or multiple people are sharing it. I'm talking about Fox News has the article.
Right.
InfoWars has the article. This site has the article. By just sheer volume, it looks like this is a solid, legitimate thing. Because, well, it's everywhere. And it's like, yes, it's everywhere. Identically everywhere. It's not that it's a topic.
Right.
That is being talked about by multiple news sources, by by different authors. One author, one piece, verbatim, repeated on multiple sites.
Right. Because it's bought up. It's an article sold and it's all a source thing. I like Sandy's comment. He's one of those guys that for a period, he says enough to make you wonder if he could be right. Then he really sticks his foot in it. And you think, how could I be an idiot to ever consider what he said could be remotely true, Alex Jones? It's true. It's really true. And its problem is you have to filter that and says, I really think he has a mental illness. His thoughts was it was a peaceful protest, Ashley. I'll tell you what his thoughts were. It was a peaceful protest by patriots. And I'm so tired of hearing that word being misused so much.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, one of the InfoWars hosts was charged with breaching the U.S. Capitol grounds in the riot. Sorry, I did a quick search.
Good.
But Owen Schroyer unlawfully entered a restricted area at the west side of the Capitol during the deadly rampage that interrupted the formal congressional certification of President Joe Biden's 2020 election victory. Prosecutors said in court papers unsealed. Yeah, that's from August 20th.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm sure he had lots of positive things to say about January 6th, none of which included the word riot.
Right.
Or unlawful behavior or, any of the other lovely, appropriate words one could use to describe the event.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I already knew that one. That was ridiculous. So hopefully he gets his just desserts. I'm hoping part of this defamation suit requires him to make public statements and public apologies to every one of the children and the families.
I saw love there. Yep, love me some Alex Jones. Yep.
I wanted public apologies on all national media, and he has to pay for the commercials of every one of the families. That's what would be my negotiating point when I walked in there.
Oh, yeah. And for those who aren't aware, that's how one does satire. But
anywho, let's see. Let's take Mary's question.
Alrighty, so Mary, 11/28/57. Will JLB be less cranky when we have a formal outing and young ladies see him, chat with him? The Met Opera has Carmen this season.
I feel like he will be less cranky. Of course, I think he really just needs a chill pill, a vacation to Texas, and something to do. Because he gets cranky when he doesn't have anything to do, and unfortunately, this season that we're in here doesn't allow him to do a lot.
Mary, I'm not sure what you're apologizing for. Oh, never mind. Got it. Okay, sorry, I follow along. That he should apologize to everyone, blah, blah, blah. Alex Jones. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm good now.
Yep.
You broke the joke for a second. Oh, Mary also asked, we could visit West Virginia.
I'm up for coffee anytime, darling. We got some business plotting to do anyhow on how to, bring platform back. All right. So, those who use the mail USPS system, be warned. Get your Christmas cards out early. Yeah. This is now they're going to slow it down from the standard 1 or 2 days for certain mail to be traveling longer distances. Go into this one because this annoys me.
Well, yeah, everyone's favorite Postmaster General, DeJoy, basically has created a plan to relax its service standards, to make on-time delivery less expensive and more consistent, effectively moving the goalpost. Yeah, so previously a first-class parcel would be expected within 3 days. Now they're saying that it's going to be 2 to 5. And then tack on another day or 2 for other mail traveling longer distances. Effectively, unless your package is going out within a 3-hour driving distance, expect it to take longer. Yeah, but it's effectively kind of like, here's the thing. this is all after everything that has been done to the Postal Service to discredit it, to disable it, to hamper their efforts, to ensure that they can't, meet their goals, that they are, overfunding for things that no one else ever has had to fund for. Doing everything they can to destroy the United States Postal Service and then let vultures come in and pick it apart.
Right.
After doing all that, and it survived, it has unfortunately been left in the situation that meeting the actual expectations that they have long satisfied isn't possible.
Right.
So the only thing left to do, because God knows we're not going to do anything like unscrew the pooch of the United States Postal Service, we're instead going to continue with the screwed pooch, picture a Picasso puppy. That's our United States Postal Service. And all we can do at this point is move the goalpost and take the limping carcass of the puppy and let it continue trying to drag a mail sack, and just accept it's going to take longer.
Right. Here's my thing. I do not understand why they are not hiring more people to handle their mail. Yes, there is a rate increase, temporary rate increase for the holiday season. What sense does that make?
Effectively, you have to keep looking at this through the lens of how do you destroy. Well, first think of it as business, and then go, how do you destroy it?
Right.
What can you do to literally make this as unappealing as possible? The only thing I can liken it to is, imagine you're in charge of a company, but instead of liking that company and wanting to see that company succeed, you have your own agenda. And your agenda involves like blowing up the foundations and ensuring that the company crashes to the ground.
Right.
That's your goal. And then taking everything you could possibly do from a position of authority,
right,
and doing that to make sure that you get the desired outcome you want, not doing what's actually best to run that business.
Right. So, how does this affect you? That's the important part. This means at Thanksgiving, Joe will be doing Christmas cards and get them out. On time, and for them to get there before right at the Christmas season. Those that ship packages for mail, like our barista mails, that'll be going out around the Christmas season, those will be getting shipped earlier.
Well, and then here's the problem with the announcement, though. What may actually end up happening is everything for the United States Postal Service could actually end up running on perfect time.
Right.
Because everyone's going to not use United States Postal Service because they just said, we're screwed.
Right.
And again, that goes into that same thing. When you're running a company and trying to destroy it, and you're making announcements like this, what's the first thing the people who would normally use your services do?
Go to a different one.
Find a provider who isn't fucked.
Right.
To do it.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of like, again, I'm having to make comparisons here as best I can. Do you go to the accountant under indictment, or do you maybe go to the accountant that isn't?
Right.
It's kind of common sense there. Like, go to the accountant that doesn't have legal problems right now. You might work out better that way.
Exactly. again, it's just more mismanagement. I feel so much that this postmaster general needs to go the hell away. Of course, Biden is trying to make peace with us, but I would not be surprised if we don't see a new postmaster general within the coming season.
Oh, one can hope. I mean, at least before this all, like, I'm sorry, it's a very, very, very broken thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very, very, very important thing that our country has had for a very long time.
Right.
That was before people started trying to destroy it,
Right.
needed a little help.
Right.
To move into the 21st century and keep moving through the 21st century and change with time. Because we can, I think, all admit that there's been some challenges there
Mm-hmm.
that they've been hit with repeatedly,
Mm-hmm.
that has kept them a little behind.
Yeah, it has. Cody, I don't do mediumship on air.
No.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I don't do that. I read tarot on air. All right. So, finally making the official announcement, Bridge Day 2021 is canceled.
Yes. Talk about an event that took what almost felt like it was going to be an act of Congress to stop.
Right.
Because, oh, I'm going to love doing comparisons tonight, apparently. But this has been like the wedding that you plan that, like, there's a forecasted tornado.
Right.
There's, like 6 other natural disasters going on. And, everyone has food poisoning, and you somehow have a bridezilla.
Right.
It's like, no, it's going down. We're doing it. And it's like, you're crazy.
Right.
Like, it's probably the bridezilla term.
Yeah.
You're just back, like, the wedding's off.
Right. Well, what really bugs me is that the commission tried to represent this in a totally different view.
Mm-hmm.
After asking for a field hospital to be brought in, after asking for additional state funding to be brought in, and said the bridge jumpers had been misled over the situation here in Fayette County.
No, they were pretty clear.
Yeah, hospital administrators were very clear to say, no, we're full. We are at max capacity. Please don't do this. The health department, please don't do this. The state police department, please don't do this. The county police department, please don't do this. The county commissioners voted not to do this.
Yeah.
Then the organizers vote to cancel it.
Finally, like, we got the message.
Yeah.
Like, one level short of, like, carrier pigeon and, like, Morse code and, a 2x4 upside the head.
Well, this is where I start questioning the reason for this event. Because the reasoning originally for this event in 1976 was to celebrate having one of the largest spanning bridges and to celebrate this area, the National Gorge, and to celebrate the beauty that this bridge provided for the people in transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The people of the area.
Yeah.
So where's the Bridge Day Committee? My question to you is, where's your passion at? Or is it at your wallet, looking at the 100,000 people that will be brought into this area, put at risk, and you put at risk, and the area put at risk for your event?
Yeah. Well, and it's not uncommon that the things spiral as they become attractive to people outside an area.
Right.
And it does, unfortunately, exist as a cash cow. Like, look, call it what it is. Like, I don't have any guilt saying or even proclaiming, because it's true. It's a cash cow for the area.
Right.
Like, a bunch of other things in the area are cash cows.
Right.
We are milking it.
Right.
Because it's West Virginia and we don't have much to milk, but by God, we will milk a cash cow because that's what keeps this shit going.
Right.
I understand
Mm-hmm.
that, you do have the concerns of small businesses. You do have the concerns of like all the retailers in an area. You do have the concerns.
Right.
But you also have to realize that's not your only concern.
Right.
And I think that's been the broken messaging in this, is getting it through everyone's head. This is bigger than that.
Right.
Like, yes, it's horrible and devastating to have to cancel this event financially.
Right.
It is. But how do you make a different choice?
Exactly.
And not get, like, you're one, if you gotten everything you needed to like squelch all the like, hi, we got a problem here.
Mm-hmm.
If you gotten all those resources, one, that's a little ridiculous.
Right.
Like, like, as in, mentally, you should be envisioning yourself as like Miranda Priestley in Devil Wears Prada, standing in front of the window going, it's a drizzle, and like,
I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know what your problem is. It's just a little rain. In the middle of a tropical storm.
Right.
Like, hi, this is where you're at. Like, this is your disconnect right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I think that's ridiculous. And I'm sitting in their position. We have for 2 years now canceled Beltane and Forest. We will cancel it again next year. If the COVID numbers are up, we ain't having it.
Yeah.
I'm not, doing a festival today and crossings in 2 weeks. Pagan community don't like it. Well, sorry, I care about you more than you care about yourselves.
Well, and no one in the pagan community has even come back on you that. They've been like, we understand.
Yeah.
Like, no, we get it. We get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I will say this, there's a lot of hope for events to go on. There's a lot of anticipation for events that haven't canceled yet.
Right.
And the hope.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, everyone is acting like an adult and going, but we understand.
Right.
Like, this is out of like concern for humanity and people not getting sick and doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Even when it's hard.
Right. And that's the same thing that they should have done. They should have looked at the numbers, went, red state. Nope, we ain't doing this. Let's cancel it now. That way everyone can get their hotel's reservation back. We can refund our jumpers. Everything can be handled.
And red by means of like that god-awful color-coded system for COVID-19 numbers, not just, because we keep voting that way.
Well, we keep voting Mind Boss, and I'm tired of watching the state vote Mind Boss.
Yes, and Cody, there's a few things here. General readings are not what Aeson does. You will need to ask a specific question. We will need your date of birth, month, day, and year. And I think we could probably squeeze that in real quick while we're doing wrap up.
Right. Well, let's move on and talk about Facebook, and then we'll do wrap up.
Okay.
You take this one.
I don't know, what are we talking about on Facebook?
Almost all of Facebook's top Christian pages were ran by a foreign troll farm.
Oh, God, I forgot. Like, we haven't covered that one yet?
No.
Man.
It has been on my docket for 2 shows now.
Okay, so yeah, in 2019, and this is from Relevant Magazine, almost all of Facebook's top Christian pages were run by foreign troll farms.
Yeah.
That's the literal title. And it's not a joke. Of the top 20 ranked pages, only one Guideposts, which, if you're familiar at all with like Christian news, Guidepost is a publication, typically free, or a lot of people, do pay for it, but typically you can find it at most churches for free. Just pick up a coffee. Right. They like giving away freebies. People subscribe that way. But out of the top 20, Only that one was not run by a troll farm.
Right.
A lot of this is unfortunately creating problems for the Christian community.
Right. No.
Because they're targeting the same audiences that Russia attempted to manipulate in 2016 with a Facebook misinformation campaign.
Right. Now, this is the thing, and this is the thing in general. Facebook worked in 2020 and 2019 with all major churches. Like, they upped their posts, they worked deep with their posts, they wanted to press this conservative voice out louder to take on that, oh, we're being oppressed thing. Now, to come to find out, their top pages that they were working with were being run by foreign troll farms.
Well, and moreover, that a lot of what's being shared isn't legitimate.
No.
And to quote Jeff Allen, who used to be, and I'm quoting the article actually, who used to be a senior level data scientist at Facebook, our platform, speaking of Facebook, has given the largest voice in the Christian American community to a handful of bad actors who, based on their media production practices, have never been to church.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a damning statement.
Right.
Not that I think Jeff Allen would appreciate our
name and shame.
Pardon?
Let's name and shame.
Oh, the list?
Yes.
Okay, so be happy, enjoy life. Jesus is my Lord. You can. Speak loudly. Purpose of life. Positive quotes. Memories of a loved one. Smile and shine. Light of the world. Why not us? Happiness is in your mind. My life. Life is beautiful. Blessing. Conscious reminder. Blessed. Simply beautiful. Motivational quotes and videos. Light candle for a lost loved one. These are the titles of the other 19 groups at the top of that list.
Right.
And at number 17 was Guidepost, and it is an actually legitimately run group.
Right.
Or page, more importantly, by a legitimate entity that has business posting Christian articles, because that's what they've been doing in print form for decades.
Exactly. And I have respect for the Guidepost because they have expanded and worked on some of their stuff and really do a good job on their journalism.
Well, and I mean, okay, and looking up real quick, 1945, that's how long Guidepost has been around. Their publications are pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like, I will read a Guidepost.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm, may have to have some impure thoughts afterwards just to balance my life out, but there are some decent articles there, and there is some decent care for their readers.
Right.
Like, they're trying to produce good content. I may not agree with all of it. I may not agree with the foundations of all of it. But it's a genuine effort by genuine people who genuinely want to help.
Exactly. And they genuinely try to do something right. Now, Guidepost is well respected by me. It's not my favorite. But what gets me is that they should be number one, and these troll farms should be deleted.
Yeah.
Okay. And at the same time, Facebook has suppressed pagan content and harassed our pagans. So, Facebook, where's our apology? Where's our apology?
And the funny part is, I wonder how much of that, of that problem with pagan groups has actually been influenced by the Christian groups run by the troll farm, inciting their audience and causing them to seek out pagan groups and report them and shut them down. Like, I could see that as a domino effect.
Right. Totally insane. All right, guys. So,
Well, Cody, I think you must have left us. We were so sorry. We weren't trying to ignore you. We really weren't. We were hoping you could get your question with your date of birth, a specific question in. But I don't know if you ran away because you thought we were ignoring you. We were, and if you're not familiar with the show, we do try to finish what we're talking about
Right.
before we hop into the questions.
Right.
Because otherwise it gets real confusing.
It does. All right. Well, guys, it's been a great week. It's been a busy week. Next week's going to get busier. Welcome to October. Get your pumpkin on. Get your coffee on. Get your jeans on. Bring out those sweaters. I think we're going to see some cooler weather. Yeah. You can tell I've been talking for an hour and a half.
All right.
But don't let your guard down. If you can get a booster, get a booster. If you do need to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Be responsible. Take care of yourself and your family. Get ready for winter because it's going to be fun.
Mhm.
This show only gets better on the second act. I'm telling you.
I know, right? And especially during the time of year when we're all feeling cooped up already.
Yeah.
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 But we do want to take a moment and thank our Patreon sponsors. We love our baristas, and we want to specifically thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Guest, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, and Charles Shaw. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how to become a Patreon sponsor and receive all of our lovely barista benefits, please visit us at PCSPnetwork.com.
Yep. Stay safe this weekend. Have fun. I'll be around if you need me. I'll be taking appointments and calls all weekend long. You can also find that information out on our sites. Until then, good night, y'all. Bye.
Good night.
Stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now.